it's like 4 a.m. We're about an hour out from home. Like, we were so close to being home. And we've done this drive like so many times. We were getting booked in Montreal every single month. And we just hit some black ice. The car spun out and we crashed right into like the end of the guardrail. So the guardrail basically splits the car in half.
Like in a T. So the guardrail is straight and you guys are hitting it as a T.
Yeah. Or no, like we hit it straight. So it went straight through the front of the car.
Oh my gosh.
Into the back. Yeah.
The actual guardrail went all the way through the car?
Yeah.
It's amazing that you didn't get sliced in two. Who was driving?
One of the Buffalo guys. One of the Buffalo guys. Yeah. Me and Blackwood were in the back seat, and we both broke. I broke my femur in my right leg, and my fibia and tibia in my left shin and ankle.
So let's go back to this crash. What do you remember about the crash?
Ooh, so I was sleeping in the back, and I remember I woke up and we were just spinning. And in my mind, like, it feels almost comical now. I was just like, oh man, like, here we go, like, strap in. And I remember we crashed, and like the sound was disgusting. Like, just the ripping through the car, you could like hear it. It was nasty. But after the crash, it was almost like peaceful. Like, it was, you couldn't hear anything. There was no traffic. There was like dew on the ground because I was able to get to the ground somehow. And I remember just laying there, and I looked up at the front of the car, and I see people in the front, and Puff is trying to break through the glass window to get out. And I remember it being almost like calming. I was in this exact tone right now, like how I'm talking. This is exactly how I was talking. And Kevin Bennett, he goes, Daniel, are you okay? And I went, yeah, I'm good. I think I broke both my legs, though. That's exactly how I said it.
You're totally in shock.
Yeah, I was like so at peace, so calm. And I remember it just being so cold out. It's the middle of winter.
What month is it?
January.
Gotcha.
Yeah. It was just freezing. And we couldn't find our phones to call it, like the ambulance. Luckily, Puff found his phone and was able to call. And I remember he was arguing with the paramedics on the phone because they were like just asking for information that was hard for us to get at the time. Yeah. Like, what highway are you near? Like, what exit are you near?
Yeah.
It's like, we don't know. We think our friend is dead in the back seat.
Was that Blackwood?
Yeah, we thought Blackwood was dead in the back seat.
Was he unconscious?
He's completely knocked out.
Wow.
I'm laying on the grass. I can't move at all, and I think I'm about to get hypothermia. It's so cold. And we were just all in such shock. And luckily, the paramedics come. Now, the thing that made me mad most is the paramedic says, "Oh, can you stand up?" And I said, "Oh, I think my legs are broken." And they go, "Well, you got to try." And I'm like, "Oh, how do you want me to try?
Like, sure they're broken.
How do you want me to go about this? I'm pretty sure they're broken." And then I remember we went to the hospital, and my mom showed up, and Pepper showed up, and then I went into surgery.
So when you guys put I can't remember if it was GoFundMe, I'm assuming, how much did you get from that?
I think the GoFundMe total, I want to say, was like, I think $40,000, something like that. Were
you like blown away by the amount of support that you got?
I was so blown away. I mean, when I saw you donated, like Finn Balor, CM Punk, like these people who, like you said, it could have been anybody. Yeah. Everybody knows what it's like to drive. If you're an indie wrestler, you know what it's like to drive, and that could have been anybody. And that's not something that you necessarily think about when you're going on a road trip.
You're right.
For a wrestling show, you're just concerned about, oh man, I hope we get trans money for the show.
Exactly,
and
right.
I hope there's a restaurant open after the show so I don't have to eat McDonald's. You're not worried about, oh man, I hope I make it home alive.
I was getting like bored sitting in the hospital bed, and that just kind of like messes with my mind, just sitting around not doing anything for hours upon hours upon hours, eating the hospital food and just watching whatever's on the TV. That gets tiring for me. So it was just best for my mental health, and I think in the long run physically for me to get moving as quickly as possible.
See, now this is the drive that has gotten you to where you are today. That's a physical example of the work ethic that you have. You are not thinking, I must take time and rest and do this. You are like, we have to get back to business. Daniel Garcia needs to be number one. The Butcher, the Blade, and the Bunny. You know them very well as the Blade was your trainer. How was it training with such a menacing foe?
The training with the Butcher, the Blade, and the Bunny was great.
Yes.
And some people, like in a recent interview, some people said that like Andy trained me as well. And I was like, no, that's kind of
true.
I was like, that's kind of weird. But Andy's great. He was always super fun to train with. He's super creative. I don't think he gets enough credit for being so creative. And the Blade, obviously, Pepper Parks, he's one of my original trainers.
Who has better abs?
Who has better abs?
Yes, no one has better abs.
Between me and him? Oh, no.
In general, everybody. The Blade has the best abs.
Maybe the only person who can compete with him abs-wise is Pac.
Oh, and Christian Casanova.
Christian Casanova has crazy abs too, yes. But training with Pepper was awesome. He's somebody who he can really help you with the fine-tuning once you get all the basics down. He can put like a good polish on you and give you all the tips that will help you be like TV ready and take you to the next level, those kind of things.
Andy Williams actually came up with it. I started wearing this, yes, the Butcher. I started wearing this like red gear, and I don't know, I think I was just missing like a little bit of steez to my character. And one day he was like, you know what you need? You need a nickname. He was like, these Japanese wrestlers, they always have random nicknames, like 2 random words put together, like Ishii's, like the Stone Pitbull. It's just like, what does that nickname mean? Nobody knows. It doesn't make sense, but it's cool. It gets over. And like the American Dragon, just random things thrown together. And it was kind of ironic because at the time I was even skinnier than I am now. I had like a little bit of like moppy hair. I was super pale. And I was like, man, it would be kind of cool if the audience heard the name Red Death, and then all of a sudden I come up. And I'm trying to wrestle like a 90s All Japan wrestler, but I look like a 12-year-old. I was like, that would kind of be a little cool like bait and switch for the audience. And I used it a couple times, and it ended up getting over. It's really easy for the crowd to chant. I think it's a really easy nickname to market on social media and stuff. I hated the nickname for a lot. When I was injured, I wanted to get rid of it and just come back as just Daniel Garcia. But I don't want this to sound braggadocious, but it was too over to get rid of, if that makes sense. I feel like too many people knew me as Red Death, even more so than Daniel Garcia. So I was like, man, if I get rid of this is going to be a little bit of a handicap to my career. So I might as well just keep it. Even if I don't like it that much, the crowd likes it. And that's what really matters, I guess.
I've been telling people on this channel to subscribe, and they won't.
Yes.
What can we do about that? Can you help me out? Maybe if you tell them to subscribe, they'll do it.
Threaten them. I'll threaten them for you.
Yeah, that would be great.
Yeah. You don't have to do it or you're cursed. Danhausen has a question. It is, you've worked with AEW and WWE. How was that? What were the differences? Was it nice?
It was so nice. AEW is a very, and NXT, they're both super welcoming and nice environments to be in. I think that's probably shocking to a lot of people. It was very, it felt pretty loose and it felt very natural to be there. And when I was in the ring there and backstage, I felt very comfortable and I felt like I belonged there. And I feel like that's a very important part in success, feeling like you belong places, no matter how big they are, or no matter how like big of name value or extravagant they are. I think if you feel like you belong there, you do belong there.
Danhausen agrees. You got to have that confidence. Otherwise, they're going to pass you by.
Exactly.
They want television stars. They do not want television background people.
I like that. I like that. But
you could figure out a better word for background people, but what you know what Danhausen means.
Daniel Garcia was signed to All Elite Wrestling in 2021, but he actually had made his AEW debut on an episode of All Elite Wrestling Dark during the pandemic in 2020. The matches on this show were filmed before and after tapings of AEW Dynamite. The first major storyline that Garcia would be involved in would be with the Jericho Appreciation Society, along with Angelo Parker, Matt Menard, Jake Hagar, and of course, Jericho. It's been said many times that Jericho storylines got no one over, but one could easily argue that this is, in fact, the exact storyline that helped Garcia evolve into the character that he is today. It was here that Bryan Danielson would attempt to recruit Garcia to the Blackpool Combat Club and embrace his technical wrestling side, but instead Garcia would insist that he was a sports entertainer and remain loyal to Jericho for what it seemed like was an eternity. Garcia would start wearing flashier ring gear and incorporated his iconic dance into his character. At a certain point, Garcia's dance transcended a simple taunt and became something like a power-up move for him. I noticed this transition being made when Garcia attempted to win back the Ring of Honor Pure Championship from Katsuyori Shibata during the Death Before Dishonor pay-per-view in 2023. It was in this match where Garcia blended what he was doing with his sports entertainer personality and this pro wrestler persona, and his dancing was used in a more offensive manner. This would persist over time, and some truly hilarious and entertaining spots would happen, where Garcia would use it to no-sell attacks, or chase off referees, or just straight up use it to transform the match from a wrestling match into a full-on dance-off.
I feel like there's a Young Lion dojo system in Japan, and you have to wear black trunks, black boots, you have very basic moveset, and I feel like I never wrestled in Japan, but I kind of forced myself into a Young Lion system myself, where I had a basic haircut, I wore very basic gear, I did a very basic moveset, because I knew if I could get people to cheer for me and to get invested in me with the lack of any extra tag-ons or gimmicks or flips or anything like that, I knew they'd be invested in me as a person. And then I know that when I add on the extra stuff eventually, it'll be even bigger. So I feel like I forced myself into a Young Lion excursion, basically. And I feel everything that people used to come up to me and say, it would never be about my gear, it would never be about my body. It would always be, man, you're a great wrestler. That's the first thing that people had to notice about me. Like, you are a great wrestler. And then when I got to AEW, still like basic things. Then when I got in the thing with Jericho, I started doing the leather pants. I started to incorporate the dance, and now nobody comes up to me and tells me that the wrestling is good. Now everyone just comes up to me and says, man, I love that dance that you do. So, I mean, it's really interesting. It's a stark difference on what I envisioned myself being when I first started wrestling. But you've known me for a long time. I think anybody who knows me knows that dance isn't like, it's not like out of left field for Daniel Garcia as a person.
Not at all.
Like, it's something that's like very natural to me,
At the end of 2023, Garcia had an impressive showing in the first Continental Classic tournament, and while it was clear that he would be unable to win the tournament due to losing his first two matches, he went out strong by pulling off an upset victory over Brody King from House of Black. This was a breakout performance and the start of a feud with King that would culminate in a cage match where he would team up with FTR in a winning effort against the Dark and Foreboding faction.
AEW's arc was resembling my character arc for the past year, Everyone knows my story. I was transitioning from a pro wrestler, and then I became a sports entertainer. And then I was stuck in limbo between being a sports entertainer and a pro wrestler and finding my way. And I feel like that was the past 6 months for AEW. AEW kind of went away from its roots for a little bit and, was seeming a little bit sports entertainment-ish. And then the Continental Classic, I think, fully brought it back into a pro wrestling product, a sports-based product, like you said, with the promos and with the competition based around the matches. I feel like I'm a fan of very stripped down product in wrestling, and I feel like the Continental Classic brought that back to AEW. It was bare bones. These people are competing for this. Super easy to follow, super easy story, and I think it was exactly the shot in the arm that we needed, and I was glad to be a part of that. And if you notice, everyone started doing those backstage interviews after I did it, after my match with MJF. So, I'm not trying to say everyone is copying me, but I definitely think that was the catalyst for everybody doing a backstage interview after every single time they're on TV for right now.
So every week I go into the back locker room and people come in with their bags and it gets more and more crowded. And this roster just keeps getting bigger and bigger, and these opportunities that I'm talking about just get harder and harder to come by every week. I come here, I don't know what I'm doing, and I just don't know when an opportunity like this is gonna come again. And I wish I had a big, fired up promo full of false bravado and false confidence that I could give to you right now, but I don't even think I would believe that. I used to have so many people here telling me what they think is best for me. That in a way, I don't even know what's best for myself. I just kind of feel lost. That's all I really have to say.
Garcia would start 2024 off strong with a TNT Championship match against Christian Cage at the Revolution pay-per-view, where he would ultimately not be able to defeat Christian, but it was clear that the AEW fans wanted to see him come out on top. And it wasn't just fans pulling for Garcia. MJF would later reveal that he wanted to see Garcia become a major player in AEW as well, and would offer him a match at Wembley Stadium for All In 2024. But before Daniel could accept, he would be interrupted by Will Ospreay, who would offer him a shot at the International Championship on the next episode of Dynamite. And the match between Will Ospreay and Daniel Garcia on that episode of Dynamite was not the highest rated match of the night. However, anyone with fucking eyeballs and who has been watching wrestling for any period of time would clearly know that this was the match of the night. And there are some really stupid fucking reviews of this match on Cage Match. Both the good reviews and the bad reviews are nonsense. Like, no one knows what to make of this thing. Let me break it down for you if you missed it. There are some amazing technical wrestling spots between Ospreay and Daniel Garcia. Daniel Garcia is a fucking pit bull and cannot be put down. Ospreay is hitting him with power moves and Garcia is jumping right back up and cannot be stopped. Garcia is humping the shit out of Ospreay's face as a taunt. When he gets desperate, he considers cheating and then decides, no, he's going to be the better man. He is going to win the right way, and he hands MJF's ring back to him, gets hit by a hidden blade, and fucking insanity breaks out after Ospreay leaves the ring. MJF decides to brutalize Daniel Garcia for not listening to him, I would have to assume. We don't know what's in MJF's head. He's deranged. He's crazy. It's heel MJF is back, and Daniel Garcia is a lamb to the slaughter. And oh my God, this match is full of storytelling and good wrestling, and it's everything that I like about AEW. So I don't know what the fuck is wrong with the internet, but this match and this angle is fucking gold, and it's something that we're gonna look back on in, years and say, wow, that was something. That was cool. And what a great place for Daniel Garcia to find himself in between MJF and Will Ospreay. I mean, what an elevation for him. So I'm really happy to see it. Although it's unclear what state Daniel Garcia is in. That's the worst part of this thing, is he leaves here in a stretcher, and we don't know if he's going to make it to All In or if he is going to be sidelined. It is unclear at this time. But let me know what you think down in the comments below. It blows my mind that this was not the match of the night, but Garcia is definitely one of the top talents on the AEW roster. This video was an absolute blast to put together. I really enjoyed digging into the history of Daniel Garcia and putting it together here for you. Let me know down in the comments who else you would like me to cover, and check out another video, and grave diggers, keep digging.
He is I, and I am him, and I'm the undisputed trend, Matt Taven. And this dork behind the camera, some Melvin told me to say, grave diggers keep on digging. Whatever that means.
I am AEW wrestler and Ring of Honor tag champ, Mike Bennett. And remember, grave diggers keep digging, but not the monster truck. Even though my son really likes that monster truck, I kind of like Son of a Digger, and so I'm going off on a tangent about monster trucks because my son really loves monster truck, but we're talking about the YouTube channel, so make sure, grave diggers, keep on digging, baby.
So this is Mark doing one happy private party, saying what up to the grave diggers, and you doing your thing, bro.
Alright, like, subscribe, and watch another video, or be cursed. If you're cursed, that means the grave diggers will keep digging your graves. So, you probably want to do it.